Hello, everybody. This is Eliz-sha Keating from wisdomseekers.net, and we're here today with E Squared, and we have a special guest from Denmark, and we're very excited about it. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of new ideas and thoughts. So, hello, everybody. This is Eliz-sha Keating from wisdomseekers.net.
So, I'm here.
I got a special guest from Denmark. I don't know how to, there it is. Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, I found it. We're done. Okay, we can talk now. That's amazing. We don't use YouTube very often. So when I go to Facebook, Facebook automatically shuts me off, but YouTube doesn't. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to introduce Jasper. He's from Denmark. And tell us a little bit about what we're talking about today, Jasper. Am I saying your name right, first of all?
Yeah, perfectly right.
Awesome.
So, we can discuss many topics, but set to like spiritual living. But I think it would perhaps more be like how to create communities for spiritual or a better fitting life for everybody, which is what I've been dealing with for at least a half year, and then a year before that also. So yeah.
Is it along the lines of Michael Tellinger's work, or?
No, yeah, perhaps yeah, but I haven't studied anything like that. It's yeah. Let me start from the beginning. Here in Denmark, we have a situation where we have been separated, and for a long time we had, of course, had our thoughts about how to go about this and everything, and instead of kind of resisting or thinking about legal things in that direction, not to anything, but the thing has been that we all have been forward, and in a way it has been a very good thing, because it reminds me how close we are and how close we need each other in order to function and create, be human beings. And felt in December was very obvious, but already in the summer and already in spring 2020 also, there's been a lot of people moving and joining and meeting up, and every time it happened, people were so joyful just for a meeting, and that never happened like in my life in that way. Of course, if you meet up at a festival or at a concert or meet up generally, people have it. But this was totally strangers just in one spot, and having a very like a spiritual experience, even though it might have been a kind of a protest or a demonstration or anything, or just and then it developed at some time for me in December last year, where like there was an urge to meet with other people in different ways, just to meet and not to do anything specific other than meeting. And there was quite a few posts about on Facebook, and I immediately responded to that, and also told, well, you can come at my place. I have woods and nature around if you like. And then some other responded to that, and that ended up just with one guy who happened to be a musician, which I am also not professional, but I like music. And then we met up. Some other people met up, going just for a walk in the forest, and meeting up. And then I joined the groups where we just met to sit and discuss, just 10 people or so, and we never got to any topics, specific topics, other than actually introducing ourselves and who we were, which was very in a very open, extremely open way.
We talk about that, the need for that a lot now, the need for just connection with people, to not see other, because a lot of times in our animal nature, we see other, but to just be open to, connecting with another human being with no motive on the table. Just the connection the ability to just see each other and allow each other to exist.
I would really say so. When I have been, I'm in nature every day, like walking for an hour or two and perhaps more, or I play tennis. But since my tennis was shut down, I tend to walk for like 8, 10, 13 kilometers, just for doing that. And meeting people out in nature, people also responded in another way, because I might have met people with dogs and it's easy to respond to that. But everybody, and I mean literally, really, everybody I met said, greeted me and smiled, and that hadn't happened before. So there was an appreciation that came naturally from being separated, and it's very confirming in that way. So that's a good picture of what is going on. People need to see each other, and they really feel it.
So it's sort of like the energy that we had in the 70s. Are either of you old enough to remember the 70s?
I am.
I mean, vaguely.
Yeah, there was an openness.
Yeah.
There was an openness. Yes, absolutely.
I think I made it to 10 out of the 70s.
Yeah. Okay, because I do remember the 70s, and what you're describing was was kind of not for everybody, of course. The old folks, they're always a little slower to get onto the bandwagon, but they called it the summer of free love. But basically, it was not just free love; it was people get together and the way you describe it.
I think I saw the after. I was a teenager during the 70s, and but I was. It was the spirit that was surrounding me, and all things in society at that time. Also, like the music, like a very
I have to say that if y'all hear something in the background on my side of things, that's my son snoring.
Oh, okay. I thought it was water. Water or interference.
And I'm trying to keep the microphone where it won't pick it up, but yeah, he is sound asleep. He had a hard night, and he kind of just crashed where he was sitting. So I apologize.
That's all right. The other day, my dog was snoring right in the middle of everything, and he snores just as loud. So basically, where do you see this going, Jasper?
I'm seeing this actually because I have been very much a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be constructive. I've been seeing I've been meeting in groups where introducing ourselves, and out of these groups I've met other people, and then forming other groups, and people would suggesting, a group that would start in with very few people, and then going national, because people thought it was a good idea, and it was called Far Out in the Woods, like, so you could meet there. So anybody could just post an invite to go, hey, do you want to go to this beautiful area and make lunch, or you could just meet up, and then people would meet, and there would be 3 or there would be 10 or perhaps more, but people would just go for a walk, and they talk, and walk and talk, and people could intermingle like, and it would be exactly the same, like the meetings in a very constructive way, because it was very agile that you were working, and then you'd meet in very different with different people in that way. And actually I met more friends during this last half year than ever in my life, you know.
Do you find the communication style is shifting too?
The communication style is definitely heart-based.
That makes a huge difference, eh?
It does.
And how do you find it more heart-based than before?
Because people are showing up as they are.
The pause, I think,
like no facades, no, people are just kind of telling their story, and many people are like have been desperate, and some people are in another place, and but people need to tell their story, and people are very, very, very accommodating for hearing other people's like frustrations, and giving them that space which they would need, or some perhaps more than other, but it's a really beautiful thing, and then we find out in that we have different dreams and different things that we have, like a background story that where they would actually be very free to create their own life from this point.
So you're finding it's changing people's lives dramatically, was what you're saying.
It is so dramatic, because people are, I can give myself as an example. In March 2020, I was going to launch a new business that I call a friend. And we were, of course, shut down because it had to do with clients and individual clients and all that. So actually, at that time, I'd spent like 5 quarters doing that and put all my energy in it, and then that stopped. So what then? And I actually had to close down my business number, my personal business number, that was not for that company, but in order to have some security, because I have used all my money for 5 quarters, spending all my savings like that. It was that serious. But still, we have had some opportunities to start up that, but still I find my energy going only into this space, creating something new that would fit, creating like new societies, new ways to connect, new ways to food supply, for instance. Where do you get good food in your local society? Who can you meet up with? Who can you do that? Who would be able to wanting to actually create a new place and a new kind of living, perhaps even creating moving into spaces or creating new spaces locally where we would join up and have that common feeling of a purpose and really creating our own societies. So that is a very that's an urgent theme, and it's also it's a wish for many people, and people of course come from different places, and some have no money to do that, and people but no matter what, people want this to happen, and it's very evident that it is so.
When talking, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, it sounds like you're starting to use more of a barter system.
Meaning a barter system, I'm not
Or you're saying that new way of finding groceries and stuff, veggies, fresh veggies.
That is mine. Also, my friend. I should actually. I've been thinking about growing my own garden because I have a huge garden, and I could very well, and I should do, and I will make a little food supply there. And also, my friend has done that in his garden. Totally, like rearranged his garden, and he has like a greenhouse, and also rearranged space for arranging a garden for vegetables. So and perhaps some chickens, and perhaps whatever, just a little thing. But so it's a thing it's a thing that is building. It's a thing that is we see the very start of it.
We are seeing a shift in the mentality, especially where food is concerned, in more evolved countries. Not here. We have a ways to go. Sorry, America. But we do. We are seeing a good shift in the concept of food availability. A really interesting speaker I listened to one time said that children starve to death less than a mile away from a grocery store because of our concept of money. You know, it's our concept of money that sort of is skewed in the world. The idea that we need money to gain something, right? And food is one of those things that is such a serious issue. Many people think we don't have enough food, but the reality is there's enough food. There's enough food in the world if we are smart. If we are smart in how we disperse it, and if we become more natural in how we create it. We've stepped out of the natural cycles of our food with mass production.
But they're having the small farmette with the chickens and the veggie garden and things like that.
Right.
That's the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm. And you shared with your neighbors, and and then so and I'm so not the person to be talking about this, y'all, because I've tried. I have no green thumb. I actually have a plant homicidal thumb.
But you could grow. You feed animals and things, and they grow really healthy. So everybody has their area of expertise.
That's right. And I think meeting and connecting, we begin to share resources instead of seeking through financial. I think that's a shift that needs to. I read a really interesting book that talked about guerrilla gardening. It's actually a science fiction book, and they talk about how there came a time in human history where people actually guerrilla gardened. They actually planted gardens in weird places where anyone could get something to eat.
I think this was that now, aren't they? They're calling community.
Yeah, we're leaning
trees and stuff. Mm-hmm.
And we're sort of kind of saying we don't like the system of mass supermarketing, because mass supermarketing is we exclude people. Like, you can only get food if you have enough money. And so then it becomes the responsibility of the people who have enough money to give food to people who don't have enough money. And let's face it, we are greedy by our nature. Hate to tell y'all that, folks, but we are.
Are we greedy or fearful? I think there's a slight difference. What do you think, Jasper?
I think greed comes from fearfulness, but we are greedy. We hold on to.
The question is what we need. We need housing, and we need food, and we need no more.
Yeah.
Food we can grow very easily. You do the chickens, I do the carrots. It's really simple.
I will definitely have to do the chickens. You will definitely have to do the carrots.
And a lot of people would appreciate that. So
Yeah, because everybody has their talent with something. I know great gardeners who I'm extremely jealous of. You know, I planted, this is a funny story because I planted bell peppers in my, I forget what they're called. Anyway, we call them bell peppers. I planted bell peppers in my yard, I thought, because I'm interested in planting natural food stuff for my area. And what came up was not bell peppers. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not bell peppers. So I have no skill set when it comes to earthwork. You know, I get happy accidents. Like, I got sunflowers growing all over my yard right now. But that wasn't done by me, that was done by the birds. And you know, it gets crazy. I planted lettuce for the rabbits, and for myself. And that came out good. That worked. But
We have a comment by James Squire, and he says, I'm finding a great connection to community, whether it be chanting, yoga, group of men that are like-minded, leaving mainstream media out of it, coming from love, nature hikes, and tuning into all of our five. And then he should support the small local farms, which, so when I was young, many moons ago, that's where we used to buy. We always used to go to the local greengrocer, which was the local farmer, and buy our groceries. Always buy very fresh veggies from the local. It was not until afterwards that we started to buy just from the grocery store. Yeah. So James, I believe, is in Ontario. So I think your community idea is maybe it's a grassroots evolution. It's coming up from the people. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, are you asking me? Or
yeah.
James?
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a grassroots organization, because we'll have to create it all over from scratch, and building new everything, I think, in education and in schools, in health, in society, and the basics with just how do you get your healthy food supply and not being depending on money. I hope that someday that we are being independent of money, and at some time I think it will happen. But you can actually create that, because you can make your own food in very few hours a week, and still have your food. So you need to have some housing, and you need to have, but we can do that we can create that together. It is it's perfectly possible, and there's people who are really going to do that. I would say that my next step into the
Go ahead. Your next step.
yeah, people had these thoughts for a long time, I think, but now they're forming because we have the opportunity of what we would call a reset, but in a better way that probably was thought of.
Instead of the Great Reset, we'll have the human reset.
The human reset, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
How do you see the housing situation? Because there's a lot of people. I saw a meme the other day, and it said 2020, and there's a beautiful little house. In 2021, there's a little tent, and so a lot of people are losing their places of residence, whether it was rental or owned. So how do you see the future for people living into
the
decent?
Danish situation is that the Danish society is like securities based and like at a very advanced level, I would say. But we also pay a lot of taxes, like 50% or so. So actually, people have their money taken, and then But it's another question. But we have some sort of security that would not provoke that situation here. Of course, people are below a good income and very much below it for some, but in general, it's people are supported that way. So
what happens? Like James Squires, he made a point. Startups are here for community, but too many political people get in. So what happens when the government runs out of money? And in a situation where 50% of your monies go to the government, that's a very real option, because people are going to I know, like in New Zealand, it's a party country. They don't try too hard.
That's a rabbit hole, because money creation is done by private banks, not the government. So every time they need money, they just print money. They make them up. People, the money are created from banks that pull them out of nowhere when you take a loan or mortgage.
Well, but that creates inflation, and
we have had an inflation of like 400.
Yeah.
Of the. So if banks now were asked to pay back whatever people had in the banks, they would have only 5% of it, and that's because of the money creation, of course. And so the money but the money problem it's
not unsolvable, I believe, at this level.
It's a huge topic and very much needed to speak about.
Wait, what you're talking about is going around the money problem. So like if we start growing our own food as a community, then we don't need to go to the grocery store.
Exactly.
We have the food. Our life becomes easy. It's less complicated. Like if I can go out and if I can walk out in my yard and grab a couple of strawberries and make a salad, less complicated than having to figure out how many hours I'm going to work to get the money I need to go to the grocery store to try to pick out maybe the less processed strawberries. How many hours does it cost me to have a house? How many hours does it cost for this? The problem I think I see with this is, especially we see this in America when people start, they call it living off the grid. We call it living off the grid, where we start circumventing the established money order.
And then the government steps in and say, you have to be hooked up to electrical.
Right.
You have to be hooked up to water. You have no choice.
Right. They come in and passing laws where we can't collect the rainwater and we can't grow food in our yards. And you're like, and there's resistance to this, and there needs to be resistance to this. But it's not at the conscious level of people to realize the danger that these laws that are being passed have, because they are blocking that the ability for us to evolve out of money. We really need to evolve out of money, people. We need to evolve out of the money system. It was weird because I just put up a video of a man that kind of talked about this. It makes our life hard. Money makes our life hard. When really,
it was put in place to create slaves.
Right. It makes our lives hard. Whereas the solutions to our problems, and I've seen this over and over again, the solution to our problems are really easy. We just have to do them. It's a good example of this is there was a dam that needed to be repaired, but the first question asked was how much it was and who was going to pay for it, and no one wanted to pay for it. So the dam just broke, killed a lot of people. Yeah, you would think that they learned their lesson, but no, they just kind of patched it up. And then again, the question came up, who's going to pay for this? And that dam broke 3 times before they just didn't build it again. Whereas if they would have just built it without the worry of money, would have saved a lot of lives. This is always our first question. How much does it cost? Who's going to pay for it? Especially here in America. In America, we're horrible for it.
Do either of you know Michael Tellinger?
Yes, I know.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, he's South African, and he has a vision of community where money is not involved.
Yeah.
But everybody puts in 5 hours a week of time and does a job, I guess, the job that they're good at, or which might be building a road, or it might be doing the paperwork for the community or something. And I don't know how it's going. I haven't read lately, but I know it was extremely exciting for me. Can't remember the name. Yeah. And it's just to me, it sounded like a way of living that was actually maintainable and feasible. So James says, people awaken and realize that the comfort and ease of going to a local store is feeding the machine that gets people addicted to things, i.e. delivered groceries, Amazon, etc., etc. Just like Jasper said. Well, I guess there's more to it. Hang on. No. It's like you said, he's agreeing with you.
A lot of the problems we come up against too, it's easy to say, we tell people grow a garden in your yard. We did this during the World Wars too. Do a window box, grow your food. It's easy to tell people that, but we've become separated from our food through the process of grocery stores. We've become separated from the how to do it.
No kidding. Kids don't even know.
A lot of kids don't even know eggs come from chickens. They believe they come from the supermarket. So a lot of your big city kids have never even seen grass. They've never seen grass, sadly. They wouldn't understand, the concept of the seed goes into the dirt. and the dirt creates food, because they've never seen it. How do we change that? That's a good question.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because in order to, you tell about all the things that the government do to prevent you starting all over, but you have all these things. We have to take legal action on that, and to reject that, because the governments are not governments. They're private companies, and they have no right to rule over you whatsoever.
Right.
Every agency in the entire world are private companies, and which means that nobody can come and tell you even to pay taxes. They cannot tell you to do this or that, because you don't have an agreement or a contract with them. Every time you would meet such demands, you would just ask them, well, show me please, where do you have, where just show me our contract, and then we can then we can talk again, because that's what they need. They totally rule by consent, because people are not knowing what's going on. And it's been for centuries like that.
Unfortunately, that's true. However, we find that people are too easily distracted. We're too easy, especially here in the West. We are very easily distracted. All we have to do is say, and I talk about this all the time, people, if you've watched my videos, you've heard it before. This is old news. Us and them, they're the bad guys, we're the good guys, we're on your side. And then they tell the other side, they're the bad guys, we're the good guys, and we're on your side. That's how that works. And the more you allow yourself to be divided, and this is why what Jesper is talking about is so important, reforming those connections. Mm-hmm. Not allowing ourselves to be divided. There are things that affect every man, woman, and child, and every living thing on this earth. Across the board, we have that in common. We all need to eat. We all need to sleep, right? We all want to be comfortable, right? We all need medical care. These are fundamental to everything. But we allow distraction. We allow distraction from these issues. And when we allow distraction from these issues, it's easy to be controlled. We focused on the truth instead of us. Right. Yeah. Saints.
We have been hijacked.
Yeah. Huh?
We have been hijacked from school, because the schools are not teaching us anything. No. Not anything at all.
No.
No, my kids, when I went to school, they didn't know anything about about India and Africa. They had no idea about South America or anything like that. I was just appalled. The kids now have even less idea of and that's like, my kids graduated like between 15 and 10 years ago. So I was appalled when I saw what my kids did not learn in school. Asta Badwaji says, insight on the void phase of spiritual awakening. It is just a blank. And then she's got a smiley. I think it's, I'm really bad. I can't tell, but I'm assuming it's a female. So yeah. But
spirituality is important for all of us. It doesn't matter what core value system you're coming from. And I think people fail to understand this. There's a difference between learning spirituality and living spirituality than adhering to a belief system. It doesn't matter which belief system you come from. If you go into the deeper mystical core, the mystical at the quantum level, spirituality of it, you're going to get it. It's going to get, it doesn't matter what you call God, goddess, universe, magic. It doesn't matter. If you go into the deeper spirituality, the deeper you go, the more you realize. But if you just stay on that surface of the belief system, again, you become controllable, especially if you're allowing other people to tell you what that belief system is, right? And so this in spirituality, this is sort of a kind of a white belt lesson. Read your sacred books yourself. Read. Yeah. Try to find your soul yourself. Don't let anybody else tell you where your soul is. Once we begin to do that, pretty much people realize that we begin to realize we evolve. So many people are trapped in the factor of time. It's easy to allow somebody to give us a 15-second lesson on what we should be believing in. If we're in agreement with it, we're like, yeah, let's go for it. Without the in-depth stopping and thinking, okay, is this really true? Is this real? Is this the way it should be? We're in the illusion that we don't have enough time to look at how it really should be, to make the corrections that need to be made in humanity if we're going to survive. If we're going to survive as a species, there's just no more time. There's no more time for us to be idiots. Okay, there's no more time for us to stop looking at the truth and living in illusions. We have to start making the shifts that are going to save us as a species. That's just the way it is. Yeah.
What's your idea about this, Jesper?
I think we're disconnected by purpose. Actually, our children have been taken from us right from childhood, going into kindergartens and schools, and actually parents do not breed their or teach their children. They do not even that chance, so that they are programmed into whatever the government wants them to do, and they have very specific outlines for that. Of course, some are good and some are not that good. But the thing that they don't learn them spirituality. They don't learn them meditating. Every kid could learn meditation. Every kid.
I agree.
Yeah.
Every kid could learn going into themselves, exploring psychic abilities. It's very easy. It's very, very, very easy for kids, but it's deliberately turned down or whatever.
So you're basically thinking that the children nowadays are being brainwashed into thinking something new, right?
Yeah, you can see the product. You have a youth generation now that is totally complying with whatever is happening in the world today. We would not have that in the 70s. At that time, most were grown up, not in kindergartens, but having a long time just exploring life on their own. Me living in the woods, cycling for hundreds of kilometers just for a day, just exploring perhaps as a 10-year-old kid with a friend, and exploring everything and having time on their own, just to people. Actually, the time of the children has been stolen in that way, because they have no time for self-reflection. They always have a schedule. They always have some. So the very they have to go into little boxes and little schedules every day. When to eat, when to pee, when to everything. It's really and that's why
that time. Yeah, they don't have that time of just existing.
this thing that we see today is that they seem to, the youngsters who would be the one who wants to rebel, at least in my time, that you see them like complying and even being proud of complying with everything that is going on, and it's kind of sad to see, and it's really non-reflective, I guess it's a result of what has been going on for the last 20 years with the like the governmental upbringing, or this in that way. But I can tell from I've been meditating for decades, and my kids have always seen me meditating. Now they are both meditating on their own, doing training, doing breathing exercise. And, my kids are 16 and 20, and they know how they know who they are in life, and I think it's due to the that they've been kind of silently trained just by knowing what meditation and all these things are. These things are. So now they can dive into them. But the kids of today do not have that chance, because it's not offered to them, and it's really the place where we have to start.
So James Squire makes a comment: electronics in children's hands is like equivalent to crack cocaine, programmed by the system, and they're dead inside. I don't 100% agree, because the kids that come in, my daughter is one, we got a computer, she was 5 years old. The kid she just sat down and she could do things. So I think electronics has a place for us, but at the same time, I agree with him that a lot of the apps, the programs are programming. So how do you see us deprogramming ourselves and the children?
We just have to. We have to just be with them and show them what we are able to do, and I don't have any. You can make you would make new schools, you would make new schooling systems, of course, you would make new societies with very different priorities, and I have to go to be kind of constructive in this, not to just talk about any kind of issue we may have in society, because what I've been doing for some 3-4 months is I've been connected to a group where actually it was a Facebook friend that I've had some conversation about, living in the woods and these kind of things, because I think sort of was interested, and of course my youngest son also did that. So I asked for some, and also very much of my own interest, and asking, well, what kind of equipment do you need, and this and that, and he was very helpful. So we had a good conversation there, and then he had an idea that creating a little society and trying to facilitate this kind of new lifestyle, and it was just a total open invitation. We were 10 people, and some of us knew each other. I knew no one but him, and a few others. One other but only following her post on Facebook. So 10 people got together, and that's forming a little work group there. And we decided to make a camp in summertime, 1 week camp where people would meet up and actually talk about whatever they had on mind, and have a good long time to form new networks and new connections. And then after that would then come products out of that, perhaps just a group forming new kind of events or having new themes like that. So we did that, and in the end of that process, we were 4 people, and actually the initiator left the group, but we were decided just to, well, this is what we're going to do, and so now we are having introducing in week 28 in July. We're having first we were going to do it just in the woods, like very primitive, and then there was a process, and then we ended up making like a place for children summer camp where it can hold 56 people. So that's how many we can be there. So we have rented it and with our own money, and just started this, and then we started inviting people and making a program. So we have a program which will be facilitating people talking about different topics, and we will have programs for each day with and the technology we'll be using there will be is open space where people kind of have they come with their own whatever they can bring to that discussion, or that, and then we can meet up in other groups also. Meeting groups, perhaps there would be one topic that would be schools or how to live or something, and some would have some ideas of that, and some would have others, and then we'll find commonalities for these, and then they can have a discussion. If that little group doesn't satisfy them, then you just walk over to another group for that day. And then of course we have a lot of free time also where people just can talk. But we have like 7 days where there's a program, or at least 6 full days like that.
It sounds like they're helping people to think outside the box.
We are facilitating networks and new creations. It's a co-creation, and actually the camp is the perfect example of that. Except we are co-creating this, and this is facilitating other things. And then so us being able to do that without meeting out of from different corners of Denmark here, and then meeting up and doing this in a very, very short time, and creating this is also it's a proof of the energy that is available right now and for the future.
So you basically, what you're saying is you see a very positive potential for the human race.
Absolutely. We are the new like the new what we're doing. It's instead of being individually driven, we are collectively driven. So we're meeting up with people who have the same mindset, and it's very easy to do due to technology, by the way. And I think we're very thankful.
Yeah.
For that.
So I'm just going to answer James, because yeah, James, you're right. I wasn't saying that you were not right. I'm saying there's a bit more to it, and you're right. Using iPhones and things as babysitters is not a good idea.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So that's kind of exciting. Do you have anything to add to that, Elizabeth?
Oh, well, yeah, you know me, I can add to anything. We'll be here for 50 hours. I love to talk. I think technology and children is something that we often address on raising spiritual children. Um, Raising a spiritual child is really the parent's responsibility. If you let go of that responsibility, you've made a poor choice. You know, Jasper talks about how he meditated in front of his kids, and he brought his kids had that example in front of them. He didn't let anybody else give them that example. He didn't give away that power of parenting to another resource. They saw him in his spirituality. Children are going to be fascinated by technology. It's inevitable, right? And some children excel at technology. My son excels at technology. Technology is not bad. Advancement and evolution are never bad. It's how we choose to use it, right? And there is an easy solution to the question of the cell phones, right? Turn it off. Or don't do like I do and leave it in the refrigerator. By the way, that damages it. But just turn it off. But you have to show your kids. You can't just tell the children of the next generation, hey, turn off technology and do this. You have to show it. You have to live it. If you want your children to live it, you have to live it yourself. And trust me when I say that even though they rebel against it, it sticks with them, right? They may not go down the path that you go, but as long as they see that you are steady in your path, right? Is that stability in your path. It's like these, even though his children are grown now, they see a father who's willing to still change society for the better, right? This is a stable energy example to follow. They may not go the same way he does, but they see the example that, hey, I can change things. I can move in a positive direction. So it's a choice, right? If you allow the TV to be the parent, that's just the end of the story.
Thinking that vampires shine in the sun.
Oh, don't even get me started. But it is this is coming from the spiritual child, raising spiritual children point of view, right? You are complaining about children using their phone so much. Question yourself about how much you allow things to distract you from life, right? This is the shadow self. We often see in something we don't like about ourselves. So sort of like the only way to change that is by changing it. But you can't just point outside and say people rely too much on technology. I personally think technology is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. I have a love-hate relationship with it because things tend to blow up on me and break. But I don't see the harm in technology. What I see is the harm is in our lack of balance with it. We have to be balanced. We have to have, we have to still have a connection to life, right? Whereas Jasper was talking about growing the food, that's a connection to life that many people in our modern driven system to food. Okay, so even if you fail at it, I'm not pointing fingers at myself, but yeah, definitely. Even if you fail at it, this is something you should attempt. It's something that you should try. It's something you should be open to reforming the connection to the natural balance in life. Should we get rid of technology? No, we shouldn't get rid of technology, right? Technology is part of our evolution.
Wisdom seekers would cease to exist.
Right, right. Technology is part of our evolution as a species, but we can't leave behind our connection to life. So if you want to help your children, then show them as an example of what balance is, right? They're always going to be drawn to the new shiny toy. That is their job. They are the next generation. They are supposed to evolve us. They are supposed to be attracted to the new, right? That's their job. My son is smarter and better than I am. He's supposed to be, right? His children, if he will, please, come on, grandchild, I need one. If he ever chooses to have one, will be smarter and better than him. We're supposed to evolve, but hopefully we evolve spiritually as well. This is what we want to show them. But I want to say, nothing is truly evil until we make it evil. I guess is what I'm saying. I hope that answered that. I hope I didn't get us too far off topic.
That's all right.
But
I'm
look
going to bring us back. I was going to ask Jesper, in that group you had children as well as adults?
Mhm.
The group, actually, yeah, that's another thing. For the camp, we had a limit of age, which was originally 10, but plus minus. So we have, but it's only for the camp like that, because we have not that much space, and we in the camp there are children down to 8, I think, that we kind of allowed, because we are actually hiring 2 people to make the food, and we're also hiring 2 young adult people to take care of the younger kids. So everybody who wants to attend will have free hands and free. They'll be able to actually join the discussion and the whole thing, so they won't miss it. So for that reason, but including my son joined a group because I've connected to this. It came as a byproduct of me connecting with one of these women who's in the group here, and she wanted him to do like also a youth interview with several other kids or young people, and he's 20, and she asked, well, can Oscar here, can he join our conversation here and tell about their experience during the last year? And yeah, he did want to do that, but out of that, he also was introduced to a special group in Copenhagen, which is half an hour from here, which is called Tinkwe, and that group was made for young people to meet up, and they can be like older teenagers and young people in their 20s, and they meet up there, and there are some 15 people there at each meeting, and he came home actually thanking me for hooking that up, but it was not really me. It was just by things, and that group is a spiritual group also, so they meditate there, and they come just out as they are, just young people, and then some play music and some do anything, and they talk, and they just meet like I talked about in the other groups I've been into, just meeting people just for the sake of meeting up, and also for the sake of freedom for all of us.
Yeah.
But there's been created like a spiritual community for youngsters that is truly supportive of them just by meeting.
So it's filtering out. It's sort of going from one group to another group to another group. So it's becoming.
There's so many groups. There's so many groups developing on their own, and it's very easy to. I think you'll have it all over, because people are needing to form new ways of meeting, new ways of are meeting, and especially with people who has like the same not only mindset, but like an approach, like a frequency, I would say. And that is very, and it's so easy to meet people that have your own frequency, and that's the thing that we are seeing here. That you just stick your finger up and say, hey, and then you'll have 10 around you or 50 around you, and you'll have a party. And that's really the beauty of
it's a very strong support system.
It's but I think it's universal. It's not only in my space. It's everywhere. You can see this phenomenon everywhere.
Well, one of the things we have here, because you had talked earlier about the festivals, in Louisiana, I guess because it's so hot and we have nothing else to do. But we have festivals. You can almost attend a festival every day of the year. We have a festival for everything. We have the duck festival, the rice festival, the rabbit festival, the frog festival, a train festival. If it's festival-y, we have a festival. But on a smaller level, just I guess what I'm asking is, those are fun, and that's how people kind of connect. And you talked at the beginning, it was kind of like meeting people like a festival, where you had no expectations. You were like, just, hey, hi, come have dinner, sit down, let's go for a walk. If somebody wanted to start that, where, like, say they're in the United States, or they're in Canada, or they're in India, what would be your suggestion for approaching that? Would they advertise it? Would they just maybe go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm going to be at the park at 10 o'clock if anybody wants to have a picnic? How would they start that? What would be the basic start of it?
That's a very good example here. You make a Facebook group, and then you invite some people, and then these people will join, and they'll tell about it, and soon there'll be 500 or so, and then people will post, and within that group they'll make and post a what do you call it?
A subgroup or another group?
They can make it, even they can make it not a formal. They can make an event within that group, or just make a post and say, hey, I'm somebody. Does anybody want to do this? And we'll bring food, or we'll do this or that, or and then you'll be 3 or 4 in the beginning, or perhaps even 2. Who knows? But some will show up for sure. Then you can say, I'm in this town, I'm in this area, and who wants to do that? And then it will spread just by itself, but still inside the group, and everybody who would be in that group would get a notification if there's anything going on. If they had that experience meeting up there, they would definitely be looking out for. I went to it's a few weeks ago. I went to a gathering in the evening, and a kind of a spiritual woman had a garden there that she called a light garden, I think, and it was not her inviting, but it was a friend of mine who I met during this last year, and she said, well, I'm going to make a big bowl of soup, and you come here and bring something, and then everybody would add a little to that, and actually 35 people turned up there, and during that evening, and I think we ended at 2 o'clock, the last 5 of us, and we could been staying there for like all night because we had, and because I knew a few of these people, we already had connections from here and there, and perhaps knew 10 or 15 of them. But it's really easy to form networks that way, and it's really out of just making that suggestion will create a lot. It's so easy. It's so easy. Just do it.
Yeah, it's really kind of interesting because listening to you talk about it way back in the day, before I was in diapers, where I was born, my grandfather would talk about the gumbo. They make gumbo. Well, certain parts of the year they're harder than others, so they would go from one neighbor's house to the other and say, okay, you bring what you can for the gumbo, right? And then the whole neighborhood would make a big gumbo. So whereas you had too little to feed your family, suddenly all the families were fed because they acted as a community, because everybody could contribute something. We forget that in these modern days. We forget that it can be done that way. It can be so easy as just saying, hey, heading to the park, let's hook up. Whoever's out there, let's hook up. Everybody brings something, or maybe walk your dog. Does anybody else? I'm going to go walk my dog. At such and such a time, meet me with your dog. Let's talk about animal health or whatever. People forget how easy that is. I mean, we make things hard, don't we? I mean, we just make them hard. We always think it has to be so formal, and an invitation and an itinerary and a schedule, and what if nobody comes? Oh my God, what if everybody comes? We complicate it. We overly complicate it. It should be just that simple. It should be just that simple of saying, hey, let's hook up. Okay, maybe that was a bad term in this modern time. Hey, let's meet.
But there's a problem too with the new kids. A lot of them feel that they're not accepted. So how do you deal with that situation?
I think, again, that's our fault as parents. We've allowed the separation out of fear. TV has taught us a lot of fear. Your kid is going to walk down the street and be murdered right now if you take your eye off them. At least that's how we feel in America. We don't let our kids do what we used to do, which was run amok, madly through the wilderness. Growing up, I knew more about what to do if I got bit by a snake than I knew what to do if I got approached by a stranger. It just wasn't an issue. I think that maybe, and then you don't want the birthday party that nobody shows up at, so because that does more damage.
Well, then it's on social media.
Right. And so how do you do that? That's a good question. Mm-hmm. I think you start with the adults. You get the adults together, and just like Jasper said, it started with the adults, but now they have camp for kids. The kids were coming. And so the safe connections are made that way. I think that's my opinion. I jumped in there and answered that question. I'm going to get out of it. So, me, I'll answer every question. Y'all got to shut me up.
I don't have an answer for that, because I know my daughter. We talked about this last week. Actually, we talked about bullying, and my daughter, she's in her 30s now, but she's not interested in meeting people in the face-to-face because of that situation. So how do you deal with that? Honestly, I don't know how to deal with it.
You have to put. You don't have to have kids you always think that you're going to find your best allies in your school class or in your local community, or just, but in this way, if you gather people who have the same, perhaps people who are kids who have the same problem, let them meet, join up, and
Yeah.
perhaps they should go. Perhaps they'll have to go for half an hour or whatever to meet up. But I'm sure you can find at least 10 or 15 kids with the same problem in a quite limited area, and actually also in the area, who would show up for that, and they would feel fully included that way, because they would meet people with their in their own situation, and they would be able to open up about what they feel and feel empowered through that. So it's a very simple situation. It's like the Tinkery group there I told about that my son was overjoyed with. Simply.
There's also the concept that kids have in their head that they're going to make lasting friends forever, and that's going to be my bestie and my soulmate, and we're going to do everything. I think that's an illusion. That can happen, but I think we need to start giving the idea to our kids that no, hey, you're just going to go have fun with a group of people and then you're going to go home. I know that sounds so simple, but a lot of times, especially in teenagers, they're seeking that deeper understanding that's just not there for humanity. You're going there to meet people and have fun, right? This is not people that are going to come back and spend the night with you, because I'm not going to let them. First off, I'm your mom. Second off, you're going there to have fun. I think a lot of times we get a heightened expectation, especially from emotional kids, where we talk about, the autistic kid or the kid that's been bullied a lot. There becomes the heightened expectation that A, nobody's going to like me, or B, they should like me more. So that's just coming from a spiritual children's point of view. Mitigate the expectation of this, right? They're there to make connections, right? They're there to meet people. But meeting people doesn't often mean that we invite them into our life forever and ever and ever and ever. It means we have a moment of connection that we can share and have fun. I think that understanding is important, especially in young children. If you're going to do that, if you're going to make a play group for your child, say, this is a play group, right? It's just a day. It's not a lifetime. Now, it can become a lifetime, and we never want to stop that. But we also don't want the disappointment. The hardest thing we have to teach our children is that not everybody has to like them. That's a fact. People don't have to like each other. We have to be civilized, of course, but we don't have to like each other. The reality in human nature that we try to change, we always work to change it. We truly do. But the reality is we are a species, a social species that survives through our social strengths. And that means that there is that us versus them in our biology. There is a hierarchy in our biology that we try to evolve out of. But at the same time, we have to have the expectation that it's there, right? This is a day of fun. This isn't a lifelong thing. We may go have another day of fun and you will meet the same people. It may develop into a lifelong thing, but I'm not going to leave that expectation, especially with, say, a 7, 8, or 9-year-old. Is going to the park and having fun, is going to the park and meeting new people. I hope that made sense, because y'all know I just went down the rabbit hole.
Can I talk to that?
Yeah, sure.
Again, if you identify a special problem with your like a social issue in the group that the kid is, I'm sure you can find parents who have kids with the same issue, and you just bring them together, because then they'll be in a safe space. And if they can only, if there are even 2 or 3 or 4 of them, they'll be, you can say, well, they are more likely to like connect if they're in the same situation, and they would have the same things to talk about. So just having this group will empower them, because they, they will know. The first thing is that they don't know their own worth, so they dismiss it. If they have that reignited, they will find it again, and just know, just knowing that it is that is there will help them also function in a like a normal school class, because they'll know, well, I know who I am, and these people can't, they can't hurt me, or they can't. They need to find that. So just like have this group and keep nurturing it. So I think again, we have this possibility. It's so easy to form networks because of technology. So do that, and it doesn't. Again, it doesn't have to be just the neighbor next door. It simply has to be anyone who will match them in energy. Do it. And that, I think it's, I think you can do it very, very easy.
Yeah. It should be easy.
I'm very solution oriented, as you can hear.
Yeah.
Don't talk
to
talk to the solution. I really suggest.
It's a good suggestion. It's a good choice. It should be easy. It should be.
Bethany,
the complexity. Go ahead.
Bethany Campbell says nature walks about with children. They have lost their connection with Mother Earth.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
And
the Greek Maria is teasing you. She says, let's hook up.
Okay.
If you don't know who Greek Maria is, she's Maria, our reader.
We're not that far from each other either. We could hook up.
So just so you know, we've been on an hour and a half. So if it's getting late in Denmark, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's not. No, not at all. We started at 7 p.m.
Okay.
No.
So
we got any questions?
Tired.
Your brain's getting a little.
I don't get up till 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. My brain is just hot. It is 90 degrees now. This is kind of cool. Yeah.
Go ahead. You first, Jesper.
I'll definitely say us meeting here from the US, from Canada and Denmark in such an easy way is a perfect example of just meeting it's not that, it's really an easy thing. So, and I think it's very beautiful. It's that this is really happening here. It's
it is really cool. I think we need more of it. More, I would like to do more programs like this because it's fun. It's fun. I like to hear about what other people think about normal things, like food and the difference in concepts of cooking. I think cooking is such a vital part of connecting. It's like when we have dinner together, we become family. Right? It breaks down the social barriers when we eat together. But there's such a difference in concepts and in taste. And there's like cultural slang. I love slang. Whenever I begin to talk to people, I love to just sit down and just listen about all their different slang terminologies and what they call different things. Because I think that breaks down, it's a very basic way for us to begin to break down the chasm that we form. The first thing I do when I walk into a new culture is I start trying to learn the slang. and it can get quite
Words,
hysterical.
swear words.
Yeah, and they're swear words, right? They're swear words, and you just get to break that down. I would love to like just do a whole video where we just talk about the basics between all the countries, where we have like a representative and we talk about, hey, what do you call this? How does, what's the terminology? What's your favorite slang word? How do you say hey on the street to, a friend? So like I would walk down and, say hello, but there was a culture and, there's someone's like, hey man, what up? And you're like, I'm not a man. It's like, so yeah, you get that break. I would love to do that one day. If y'all are interested, one day for an E-Square, that would be really cool. So I'd love to hear all about Denmark. I hear a lot about Canada from Elijah and some other countries, but I would love to hear all about Denmark.
Absolutely.
I might want to move there because, like I said, it's 90 degrees right now, and it's super hot. It's super hot. I'm always threatening to move in the summer. Catch me in August, and I'll have my bags packed. So, but yeah, no, I would love to get on and just do something like that. Sort of let people know, experience that. If that made sense. So if y'all are up to that, huh?
Let me tell you, we have a famous poet who says that there's October, November, and because they're like gray and very, very rainy or just dull, and then spring comes. But we have four distinct seasons, and they're very, it's very beautiful.
I see. That's so cool.
We have four seasons too. We have winter, one day of spring, summer, one day of fall.
We have one season. Yeah. No, we have one season. We have summer, and we have not as hot summer, and then we have too hot summer, and then we have not as hot summer, and then we have 1 week where it gets freezing cold for no reason whatsoever, but to shut everything down because nobody here knows how to drive in the snow. So
you got the humidity, I guess, also. That's something we it's rare here.
We have the really bad humidity. So like I washed my hair, I think about 2 days ago, and it's still damp because it hasn't dried out. Yeah. So the humidity is really just
that's like
really bad
India.
here.
That's like South India.
Yeah, kind of just like I'm like, yep. Which is another place I would love to go. I've always wanted to go to India because I think India, I don't know, this is a beautiful older sort of spirituality that sort of predates our own history, that kind of is lingering just under the surface of the land there. Just love to feel that. That's getting way into my craziness. We better not go down there.
You want to go eat?
Yeah.
I might suggest a few places.
Yeah.
Sure.
Food is my big thing.
I love food.
Food from every country I've ever eaten from or been to.
Yeah, I got a funny story about that with my niece. We were somewhere and getting sushi, right? And the lady was like, "Oh, try this," and I'm like, "Okay, bring it on," And it was, she was, showing off as a sushi chef, and so I was eating it. And then we left and I was doing something and my niece looked at me. She said, "I can't trust you, Aunt Beth." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "You eat raw fish." I was like, "You're done." She was never eating with me again. I couldn't believe that. I was like, okay.
Yeah, we did the same with dim sum. I went to the restaurant and we didn't know what dim sum was even back then. And they're coming along, and the young ladies who were selling didn't speak English, only Chinese, and they point at it and we go, yeah, sure. We ate everything. To this day, I'm still eating it, except for chicken claws. I don't like.
Yeah.
Denmark,
Yeah, you don't
have great chocolate.
Cool. Have
Denmark
great
has got
chocolate.
really good chocolate, right?
Oh, Denmark. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I
And
guess so.
you can buy it and it has little shapes like horse heads and things like that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I think it perhaps is marketed in Canada and the Americas. I don't know, but yeah, we have espresso brands. Yeah.
I actually spent about a day in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah, and
Fancy.
I bought a box of chocolates, and it was little box, but it had horse heads, and it was so good.
I'll buy you one.
I would love to go there and just walk around. I think that would be so cool. My son went to Iceland once.
That's on my bucket.
He travels.
Yeah.
Yeah, he travels quite extensively, but he had an experience there with food that was just quite hysterical. Not really hysterical. Well, it was funny to me, but y'all know I got on sense of humor. But they had taken him to a horse farm where they were showing them the different horses that they raised, the Icelandic little horses and stuff like that. And then afterwards, they went into the restaurant where they served the horse meat hamburgers. He realized he was eating the horses. It was a new experience for him, to realize that you can do that. And then he went into one restaurant, he ordered something, and it came out to be the sheep's head. He had no experience with that at all. And he's a picky eater. He said, Mom, he said, I finally found something I could eat. He said, I lived on potato chips for 3 days.
I have a story like that too. We were in Mexico and there was this meat plate, and we have a state there called Chihuahua, which is also a dog breed. And I didn't speak very good Spanish, so I ordered this thing thinking it was from Chihuahua. And it was, but it was actually dog meat.
Yeah.
And I lied to my little girl Dad Elle, who was at the time 5 or 6. I lied to her and said, no, it's just from the province. It's not, or from the state. It isn't dog meat. It was really good.
My sister also did not help.
That's
they
true.
said, no, dog meat, so that I wouldn't eat it.
But it was really good. Anyhow, we ate Chihuahua that day. It was very good. Anyhow, Spirit Feather says, I hope one day we can create spiritually based school environments for children and adults learning the basics of life. Any comments on that? Because I have to agree.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I want to teach the 3 R's, is it reading, writing, and arithmetic? But teaching the basic spirituality, I think, would be really exciting, because then everybody could go. What do you think, Jasper?
It's already been done in India and perhaps a few other places. I've been meditating in a system for decades, and they made their own schools where meditation is fully integrated. Any kind of the things that I spoke about, like integrating their own psychic abilities, and then the system is a very efficient system promoting a spiritual transmission that is not induced in the children. They'll start at 15 or so with that transformation, but the whole school would be promoting that kind of life and in that way. So it's totally you can do that. So yeah.
I have a young friend from India. He's in his late 20s, and he's grown up basically very as a spiritual child. We should bring him on with the four of us sometime.
Yeah.
And
I think we would.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry,
I'm finished.
I think we would have problems with that in the United States because we have strong concepts of separation between church and state, with good reason, by the way. Although we do believe in the power and freedom of religion, the idea of it would be harder to have spiritual teachings in the United States that would, first off, we're not as evolved as other people. Sorry, my fellow countrymen. So the first thing that would happen would be everybody would try to be instituting their concept of meditation, their concept of prayer.
But
Don't
they have the schools down there that are based around the church?
Yes, but they're private. They're not publicly funded.
But
you can teach anything you want in a private school, right? You can't do it in a public education system for legalities. And then, like I said, I'm going to get hit here. Send your hate mail, people. You know where I am, mistletoex17@gmail.com. But I happen to agree with the separation of church and state. I think that the two should be separated. And so having spirituality in school is kind of questionable for me. Now, we do have private schools that teach, they teach from a religious point of view. And you could do that. But as far as public education, state-funded education, I think that would be a lot harder to do, with good reason, because we don't. What we learned from as being a colonists, because we were great colonists. What we learned is not to allow one church to have too much power in government. So we try to keep that out of the education and leave that to the private citizen. So we would have to have maybe after school curricular activities where we could teach that, where you could do clubs. That's okay, right? Where like you talked about the kids getting together with like-mindedness, they could have clubs. That's perfectly okay. But to have it institutionalized in the school becomes a sort of a tightrope here. And that's just from the American perspective. It would, would it be a good idea? There's a lot of people who believe in prayer in school down here. You'll hear them. My mom will preach it to you. She's an old teacher too. She's a retired teacher. So she was there when prayer was in school. Just from that standpoint, I know, like I said, send the hate mail. I'm ready for your arguments, by the way. I've had this argument before. But I am a firm believer in separation of church and state. And I think if we go into public education, it just doesn't belong there. That's your responsibility as a parent, right? It's your responsibility as a parent to bring your child's spirituality to being. It's the individual's right to believe what they want to believe and express that. They can express it at any time. However, to have it indoctrinated into the school is just not something that I can get behind.
I'm not
in America.
I'm not 100% sure she meant necessarily in the public school system. I think she just as in it, like, for instance, the Jews, they have schools on the Talmud, and they teach how to speak Yiddish and things like that, but it's all separate from the school system. Yeah,
that's the way it's, we should be teaching our spirituality to our children every day, people, not just in class, not in just a catechism, not in just what do they call it down here? Bible camp. It's your job as a parent. You should be living that every day in front of them so that they can see it every day.
I do like Spirit Feather's idea of learning the basics of life, though, from a spiritual perspective.
I think that you have to also differentiate between religion and spirituality. It's,
Spirit Feather just said the same thing. She says, I feel religion and spirituality is a bit different.
It is, but it's also
ball games. Simply.
Yeah. It's also.
Can I talk a bit?
Sure.
It's very easy you can teach if you should just have the basics in school. Learn the kids to look inward and meditate for a few minutes and then exceeding to perhaps a quarter or half an hour or whatever. Just look inside and look inside what's in the heart. And they can do that. And actually, if you do it in front of them, they will actually imitate you like in a game they'll play, like a little game. They'll sit and do it if you do it in front of them. If a school should give any meaning more than it does today, they should learn like a spiritual practice that should be separated from religion. Because spirituality is experimental. It's something. It's not something learned. Something experienced. So it's you take from your own observation, and that is the first. That's the very, very first thing. You cannot. There's no dogma whatsoever to spirituality. Then you just learn them, of course, how to survive, how to grow your own food. So have survival skills is totally missing in our system. That's why we have fucked up kids who don't know anything, and the only thing that they think they're going to do is going out and getting a job, and not knowing even what that would be or how.
My daughter, she's working, and right now, if you're a teenager in school, you can't get EI. So they're the only people who are actually getting jobs right now. And a lot of them haven't got a clue that if they want to make money, they have to actually come to work and work. They come maybe 2 out of 5 days. Because they haven't got the basic education. There's one thing too. Meditating isn't necessarily religion. It's an act of teaching yourself to calm yourself down, and that I think does have a valid place in this school system, where
it's a basis. It's like breathing simply. You cannot live without that capacity. You cannot, but we are like forced not to do it because we're not taught it. And yes, now, of course, meditation now is a very common thing, and it's like like everybody can go to a psychiatrist and nobody will make a funny face of that. But in the 70s, it wasn't that. So we're developing larger tolerances for what we can do and what is accepted. And now actually meditation and spirituality is a kind of a mainstream concept.
But the landmine that you're stepping on is spirituality, right? And spirituality has to do with the spirit and the soul.
Necessarily just spirituality, religion. It's just
we say it's separate, right? We say
it's just a technique to calm the mind.
But technically, right, once you say the word spirituality, you are slipping into the God set, into the God mind, right?
And the God
And when you add that into a public forum, right? That's a dangerous slope. You can say it's spirituality, but it slips quickly
Also
into
just
religion.
expressive as yoga. Yoga.
Yeah,
Meditation of-
yoga is actually a type of religion. It deals with
it's also
chakras
in
and
North America,
energy.
it's mainstream.
People who go to work to become master yoga or yogai, you know, part of that
That's
is
in India, not in North America. You can
maybe
ask
not,
them
but it
in India and
still
they'll say
is.
yoga in US and Canada is not yoga.
That's exactly right, because it has a spiritual, deep spiritual and almost religious aspect to it. When we romanticize something, just like vampires, we water it down. It's a slippery slope legally to allow that. Once you legally open the door to that, then other spiritualities also have that open door. Because I can argue that prayer is meditation. I can argue that really quite well.
Of course it is.
This
Of course
this
it
is
means nothing but being having the same thought for a continuous time. It's just being in the same space for.
And having a group of people saying it in unison is also a very powerful entity.
Which
again,
I also grew up.
you are teaching my child, your concept of religion, spirituality, and God. This is the slippery slope you reach when you hit public schools.
When
establishing a
that didn't believe in it just sat it out.
Right, but they're still there. They're still exposed to it, which leads me to say, why can't I have Satanism in there? Why can't I have
necessarily
Mormonism?
Bad thing.
It doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad thing. This is a legal thing in the United States. Doesn't apply to any other country that I know of. But in the United States, we have a strong divide between the separation of state and God for very good reasons. And so having that established spiritual time, right, in a state-funded school, which is under government control, you're going to have to go into private. If you want that, you have to start your own school. Sorry, or homeschool. There's separation for a reason, right? There's a separation so that the individual is free. The individual can meditate all they want to. The individual can pray all they want to. It's never mandated, right? And we run into lawsuits about this all the time. I can pray when I'm in school. I can meditate when I'm in school. Nothing you can do to stop me. But what can't be done is I can't be institutionalized to pray or to meditate. This is the problem with having this in the American schools. Okay, in the American schools,
all the time saying that the Americans are becoming are bringing meditation into their schools more and more, and it's causing it's giving a
we can meditate. That's the whole thing. I can form a club if I want to, and say, hey, I'm having a Bible club or I'm having a meditation club. That's fine. Where we're running into the problem is the separation of the church and state, and it's a very complex legal issue, very complicated legal issues. Many teachers have been fired for it because they prayed in school. People have had to fight for their jobs. These, because they brought a religious item and they are an employee. They get to keep their jobs, by the way, because that's protected under the Constitution as well. But there is a slippery legal, we have battles about that all the time in the United States. The founding reason that we do that is sound. The founding principle that we do that is sound. And yeah, like I said, hate mail people, I know you have opinions, send them on. I'm ready. But legally and under the Constitution of law, it will be very difficult to have spirituality in American schools because we have separation of state. And that,
Also on the,
yeah. So
and it
that's
should,
just in America. Yeah.
but yeah, I also think it would could be a very slippery slope, as you say, because it could imply any kind of any kind of things that you if actually if it was like governmental institutionalized, it could be any crap, and it wouldn't hold the spirit of anything. So no thanks to that, I would say, but still we individually we would need to teach in the first place the adults that, and in order to tell kids or show kids what spirituality can be or what it is about, or give them it should be a thing that would be in any home, of course. So yeah, you would have to, but we have actually technology is also a very easy system for that today. Like you can really yeah, in the system that I meditate, it's really, you have trainers working 24/7, and you can ask for a meditation session anytime, and somebody will be sitting at the other end of the world or wherever, and they would induce divine energy into your heart directly and very much feelable. So that thing is a very it's a very it's purely spiritual based. That there's no religion whatsoever or ritual associated with that. So you have pure spirituality, and then you have religion, and religion. I'd say that spirituality, or one of the founding masters of this said that the spirituality begins where religion ends, and that is, I guess, is very much true.
Now, here's an interesting question. How do you stop it from becoming religion? Science would say that it is not religion, and yet people faithfully follow science like it's a religion. We talk about spirituality, and we encourage spirituality. On here, we even teach spirituality. It's where, I come on here every week, once, 3 times a month, to talk about spirituality. But we say it's not religion, but yet it's very religious in many of its components. I mean,
it does have the basis of, it has to have the basis from somewhere. But
right.
I think an example might be, and I'm not sure if I can say this on here, but there's a religion in India. It's about 600 years old, and it had masters. And I'm not going to use the name because it might not be legal. And when they had masters, living masters, it was a spirituality. But when the masters died out, it became a religion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is it. You have to have a living master who has to support whatever juice there would be in that system, and there has to be a living master, and that way the line is secure.
And
And
breathing, and it's growing.
In
Yeah.
other
And-
areas, we call that the priest or the pope or the rabbi or
They're not
the
necessarily living masters. They might be highly evolved, but I think
they would beg to differ. I have studied under many rabbi who could be considered spiritually masters,
so.
sages.
Yeah,
That's
and
very, very
anybody
smart.
else
That doesn't make them
of course.
them a spiritual master. Spiritual master is one that can actually change reality. Like Baba.
I've met many rabbi and priests who could be considered spiritual masters.
Well,
So
then it's a living, breathing,
So
and it's
the-
not necessarily a religion, but at that case.
and we talk, the spirituality is the life that we live in the spirituality. But when you get into the legality of the world, right, we can say it's not religion all we want to. And the legality of the world will say a duck quacks, you're quacking.
Mhm.
And so the argument would stand, and you would have to argue it in court eventually.
Well, that in this U.S., but I'm not sure that's the same case in many other countries.
Oh, it's not the same case in many other countries. Many other countries have different rules, regulations, and laws that they follow. But in the United States, it quacks. It quacks, and you're going to have to fight it in court. So the reality is, in the United States, this is going to be much, much harder to do, to have spirituality in school. Because I can guarantee you, down here in what we call the Bible Belt, you're going to run up against Mama Moo Moo. She's going to say, what right you got to teach my kids that black magic? That's Satanism.
Okay, Bethany says religion is man-made, spirituality is organic. Bethany Campbell.
Yeah. It is.
Spirituality is personal. It's really personal, deeply personal. It's your personal relationship.
Doreen says, I think it becomes a religion when the individual is suppressed.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And again, that would depend on the religion and how you feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Some people use religion to control other people. That's reality. Other people are truly in pursuit of the God mind, or the idea of a soul, or the idea that they exist outside the body. It really depends. We have to reserve judgment. I've been into many horrible churches, but I've been into many beautiful spiritual true seekers.
And they can be in the same building.
Exactly, right. They can be in the same building. So, this is a human truth. This is a human truth.
That's the difference between where you vibrate and where you don't vibrate. And if you don't vibrate at a specific level, you cannot understand the vibration at a higher level.
No.
At least I've run into this over and over again. People.
Yeah, it's the whole.
When I was way back when, I had people come and tell me I was evil because they did not understand what I was doing. And I looked at myself and I said, no, I'm not evil. And then I realized they just didn't understand who or what I was doing. And so they perceived it as an evil. I'm the witch. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Sure.
What you do here is demonstration of everything. It's not only talking. Actually, 90% of what you do is demonstration. So we could make an experiment and state what spirituality is, and then, or perhaps experience it by suggesting to meditate together and inducing this pranahuti, which is called, which is a very which is divine energy. And then people would actually have a demonstration going to their own heart, and we would know we'd know how many people wanted to actually participate, and we would add them to the session, like any other session that you would do energy wise here. So that would demonstrate that what spirituality might include at some time. Not now, but at some time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so Sogol, she belongs to an online meditation group, I think, and I think she said there's like 300 people on that group. So what you're suggesting is very viable. It's a good idea.
It is simply sitting down for half an hour or 35 minutes and doing that. And there's an app. People can also do it individually, but in order to start it here, I can also just leave a link for the app there, which will do the same thing. And you will be introduced to the concepts, and then you would be able to also, it's actually also a community building in that way, because you would have a spiritual community all over the world, always available. And in that app, you'll also be able to look up centers all over the world, because we are in 160 countries, I think, with local centers just around the globe like that. So if there wasn't like this lockdown, we would also be meeting up there in different groups, and you would be able to connect to a local trainer there, and also have your own talk with these, and just and schedule your own sittings or meditations with them. So you would have your own personal trainer like that, and not only but it's fully integrated. It's very easy to get, and you have an app for it. And
that's kind of cool.
Yep. So if anybody likes to have pure spirituality, get the app that is called Hearts app, in one word. Hearts with an S.
Can you spell that?
HERRO.
What we can do, Jesper, is you can send it to me, and we can put it onto Wisdom Seekers and pin it so that
that would be fine.
It'd be easier for people to find.
And those who don't have Facebook, because we have a lot of viewers that don't have Facebook, we can pin it in the top comments after on the
we'll pin it in the YouTube too as well. Okay. Yeah. And that we've been on for 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Well, you knew I wasn't going to go under 2 hours. That was a non-negotiable.
I don't know. My brain is kind of going.
So if you don't want it to go 3 hours, I suggest you close this off.
Well, I tried about half an hour ago. How are you doing, Jasper?
Sorry?
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine.
Okay,
nobody else is tired but me, huh?
Yeah. Well, I do have to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Y'all know my great closing statement. I do have to go to the bathroom.
But so I think what's happening. Are we closing it off then?
Sure.
Yeah, we can say.
I mean,
yeah. Okay.
I look forward to doing this again, Jasper. This was a lot of fun.
Me too. It's been really fun. It's been great, and quite a lot discussed already. So let's just continue.
This,
All right. It's great.
now
Maybe
that
we
you're
both.
comfortable with us, it's also it's much easier too, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Camille says, great, very great, very interesting points made. Thank you all. She also has emojis, but I don't do emojis. So it seems to have been well received. People are interested in what we have been talking about. So yes, I'd like to do this again. Next. So Wednesday, I think it's me for meditation. Is it? I think it's Nicola on Tuesday, Thursday, and then again. Yeah.
Not till the 24th. That's
No,
next week.
She wasn't on last week, so she's on this week.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so Nicola's on this week. I'm again on Friday. Might switch it to Saturday just so that I do one Friday, one Saturday, one Friday, one Saturday. I'm thinking about it because I get different people on YouTube. On the 21st, and we're going to do a.
We have to reschedule the 21st.
We're going to do a prophecy because it's the 21st is the equinox.
Summer solstice.
Yeah, and it depends when we do it, whether we have to reschedule or not. I
was talking about the in-depth. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to do a prophecy on the 21st, and we can. The next Friday, I think, is also part of it, and you can have that one.
Okay.
And so we're going to have people who come in, and we're going to give a prophecy. We're going, like we did in January for the new year, we're going to do the last half of the year just for fun, just because it's fun. And that's it. That's all my announcements. I think I can't think of anything else. So Jesper, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just thank you very much for this. It's been a great time. I would love to do anything again. So yeah.
I would too. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
So-
I like having guests because it sparks things up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it, folks. Unless you've got something, Elizabeth.
Oh no, ma'am. I'm
Friday
golden.
night. I forgot your Friday night. I always forget Friday night.
Oh yeah, I got that Friday night Dreams and Visions video. That's just for Dreams and Visions group though, y'all. So if y'all want to see that, you have to be a Dreams and Visions member group on Facebook. We're talking about things that can help you with your dreaming, things that can lessen nightmares or increase your dream memory. And we're going to talk about some certain herbs and essential oils and crystals and things like that maybe you can use. But yeah, that's just for Dreams and Visions. Wisdom Seekers, I need to, for those of you that are looking forward to the in-depth video on the 21st, that's going to be rescheduled because of personal matters. There's something I have to do on the 21st. It's unavoidable. So I'm going to reschedule that probably either to the 28th because y'all like those on Monday, or to the 22nd. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
When is the Wisdom Dreams and Visions about the dreams?
Friday.
I do those
Friday.
Friday 8 o'clock Central American time, but you can watch them. You can rewatch them because they're always posted on my group page.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thanks
yeah, you're welcome.
Links to all Facebook pages and groups are in the description, including Dreams and Visions.
Yeah.
So that's on. Okay. Huh. Anthony Geo says that would be great. Thank you, and we're more than happy to help out. So okay. So I think we've covered everything. Thank you ever so much, Jasper. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I will talk to both of you probably later on. And it's always interesting to have good conversations. Anthea says, do you have I do have many very intense and bad dreams and nightmares, then you really need to go back and listen to Elizabeth's last Friday, because she talked about working with the bad dreams and how to deal with them. It's pretty interesting. So if you're not part of Dreams and Visions, join Dreams and Visions. I do believe it's an open group.
It is an open group, Dreams and Visions, with a period. It's the one with a cat icon on it.
Yeah. So
there are a lot of Dreams and Visions group. Mine just is Dreams and Visions period, and then it's the one with a cat looking into the light. So
yeah. And there's lots of, it's very active groups, very interesting group. So just go join it, watch the video from last Friday. It will make a huge difference on how you deal with things. And with that, I think I'm going. Namaste. Namasko.
Thank you very much.
bye-bye.
Bye bye.